Hi, I'm Chase Lindenbigler. I'm in charge of partner enablement here at WiSys, and today I wanted to take the opportunity to show you a few new features that we've added to our product.
All right, first we're going to use our standard GRPO form to receive in a split purchase order. So here you can see in SAP, I have purchase order 888, which is now canceled because it's been split. We have two lines for warehouse 05 and one for warehouse 01. This purchase order 888 has created 888-1 for warehouse 01 and 888-2 for warehouse 05. Now, if I pull up my handheld scanner here, I'm going to go into my standard goods receipt PO form. I can do three different options here to get my split PO. I could start by just typing or scanning in the purchase order number that I originally entered of 888, which would bring me back a query from SAP giving me the two split PO options of 888-1 and 888-2. I could use the lookup here to again query all the purchase orders in my system. And if I search 888, I would see my two options here. Or I could just type in 888-2 straight up or scan that. And that would, of course, bring me back the correct items on the list for that split purchase order. Now I can go through the process here and just scan in my items, just like I'm doing a regular goods receipt PO. 20 of that item. That saves it to my WiSys preload table so I can post this as one transaction. I can do my next item here, 20 of that. Now both items are received in the WiSys preload. And once I select my post button here, if we take a look, there's no changes yet to the document. So now I can select post and it will create the goods receipt PO in SAP Business One. Just do one label a piece, print those to the screen. Here's my new item labels. Now, if I jump back in here and refresh, we'll see 888-2 is closed, but the other split PO 888-1 is still open because I didn't receive it in. And we will see in our relationship map that we do in fact have a corresponding goods receipt PO for 888-2, but nothing yet for 888-1. So we can go ahead and go make one for 888-1 now. So if I jump back in here, we'll go to our purchase order 888-1. Scan my item 8543. And once again, I got a quantity of 3 here. And in this case, I can go straight from saving directly to posting. There's no more lines to do. This is a single line purchase order. So I can go post that. And again, I can just do one label a piece here or one label for one item. And when I jump back to SAP and refresh, it is now closed. That line is received in. And we now have 2 corresponding goods receipt POs for the 2 split purchase orders. All right, next I'm going to show you how to send a goods return from a goods return request in SAP. So in this case, we're going to be using goods return request number 14 here in our SAP system. We have 2 lines, 8545 and 8543. And we're going to be doing a goods return for both of them. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my handheld scanner here and go to my goods return form. Now inside of my goods return form, I can just enter in the document, again, number 14 here from my return request. Scan the first item we're going to do return for, 8545. And in this case, I'm going to use bin 05A1. That's going to be my damaged items bin. And I'm going to do a quantity of 1 and save that. That's going to save it to my WiSys preload table so that I can also do the next line and post them as one goods return instead of 2 different goods returns. So next I'll do 8543, same bin for my damaged items and a quantity of 1. And now that both lines are done, if we check back in SAP, no changes have taken place because I haven't posted anything. They're both just saved in my WiSys preload. Now I can go ahead and hit my post button to create the goods return in SAP. And when I jump back here and refresh, we will now see that the status of our goods return request is closed. Both lines are grayed out. And if we check our relationship map here, we will see we now have a goods return associated with that goods return request number 14. All right, next we're going to go through the disassembly process on the WiSys handheld. So in this case, we're going to be using production order number 621 here, and the type, of course, is set to disassembly. And we're going to begin by issuing our parent item 8545 for disassembly. So I'm going to pull up my WiSys handheld device, and here I'm going to switch from my distribution menu to my production menu. I'm going to go to my issue to disassembly form. Now we can simply start by scanning or entering in our production order of 621. And we only have one parent item on there, of course, so we're just going to use that existing parent item and go ahead in the warehouse and find the item that we want to issue out. I'm going to just go ahead and take it from my dock here, 05D. And now we would do a quantity of 1 and hit enter. And that saves our issue to disassembly. So here, if I jump back to SAP and refresh, we'll see there's no real structural changes to our production order because we have not finished anything. But if we go to the relationship map, we will see we now have an issue for production number 749 from that production order 621. So now our parent item 8545 is issued and ready for disassembly. Now we're going to go ahead and do a receipt from disassembly for the 3 component items that correspond to that parent item 8545. So we're going to stick with this production order 621 here. I'm simply going to pull up my handheld scanner, but this time in my production menu, I'm going to go to receipt from disassembly. And once again, I'm going to type in my order 621. And I can start by scanning my first item here, 8543. And then we would pick a bin to put the new component items into. So in this case, I'm going to use the same bin every time to receive in my components and maybe inspect them before I put them away into the warehouse. So we're just going to keep using that bin 0581. We'll do a quantity of 3, save that. Now we can move on to our next item here, 8546. And again, same bin, 0581. I'm just going to walk over and scan it for a quantity of 5. And then lastly, we're going to do item A00001. And this one is going to go to the same bin, and it's just going to be a simple quantity of 1. And upon hitting enter there, we've saved that. Now we should have receipts for all components that we got from disassembling parent item 8545. So if I refresh here, we'll see their lines are now grayed out. And our relationship map will show 3 corresponding receipts from production to our production order, 1 for each component that we now have after disassembling our parent item, which was issued in our first step. Lastly, I'm going to show you the changes made to our third-party accounts table maintenance menu for Agility Shipping. First, inside of Agility Explorer here, we're going to go to File in the top left-hand corner, Options, Agility Shipping. And inside of our Agility Shipping options menu, we're going to go to Table Maintenance at the bottom and select Maintenance for our third-party accounts. That button is going to prompt a grid to open here, and we're going to start with a blank grid. We have no third-party accounts in our system, and we'll be able to go in and add third-party accounts at our leisure. We can start by clicking on this Account Maintenance tab, select the Add Account button. And we will need to begin by selecting a carrier. In this case, let's go ahead and do FedEx. Then we'll add a customer from SAP that the mapping will be for. We'll do store 001. A warehouse that the shipment will originate from. So this would be for warehouse 05. And then a ship to address for our customer we selected at the beginning. And in this case, we'll see store 001 simply has one ship to address available. So we're only going to use that. And now we can begin entering in the information for the third-party account that we want to tie to this customer warehouse ship to address combination. So I'm going to type in the FedEx account number there and begin typing my address. All of this address information is required except for address 2. Everything else is a requirement. Move on to my country. And then lastly, we're going to do contact information. So in this case, I'm going to use Jim Smith, and his phone number is 123-456-7890. And once all of that information is filled in accordingly, again, address 2 is optional. We can hit OK. And that creates the mapping here in the system. So if I scroll the whole way over, we'll see our grid is grouped by carrier and then by customer underneath that carrier. So for FedEx and our customer C10001, we now have this mapping created. If we decide we have any changes to make to the mapping, we can simply click in the fields here on the grid. So here I want to add an address 2. I'm going to just type in here apartment number 2. And now I need to check my line. And I just simply hit update account. And I will add my apartment number 2 to the third-party account. Now that is set up and good to go. I also have the option to delete carriers and accounts from this menu by simply checking the box here and hitting the delete account button to remove the third-party account from the WiSys system. And once I get that feedback there, I'm back to a blank grid and I no longer have any third-party accounts. Those are the recent changes to our third-party shipping accounts menu inside of Agility Shipping.
That's all we have for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about the applications shown in this video, feel free to reach out to support@wisys.com for additional information. We hope to see you with our next release video. Bye.